Gotcha. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to CGDQ Redone. My name is Lizstar. I'll be your host, and we have v0oid here for the start of our Donkey Kong block. Hello.
Hello.
And we have Lumophile and Basementhero here to help with commentary.
Hello.
Oh, man.
Are you all ready to expand?
I sure hope so.
Expand Kong.
Expand Kong, yes.
Go ahead and take it away, friends. Tell us all about this game.
All right.
So, DKC is probably one of the greatest platformers of all time. There's lots of rolling fast, lots of jumping, and lots of frame-perfect tricks, so it makes for a very, very interesting speedrun. Try to explain everything as we get to it, and sometimes we'll have to bounce back and forth and say, you know, remember that for later, because there's some interesting tricks that happen in tandem, you know, together. Can't really explain both of them simultaneously, but we'll do the best we can. Try to read chat as much as we can and answer questions, but you know, sometimes chat moves a little too quick.
Yeah, this game has changed a lot since 2010. Just a whole bunch of new, really cool tricks that have been added.
And stuff's still being found, like, I mean, more minor stuff, but like monthly, we'll still find, you know, rolls faster here, this is faster there. As recently as, what was it, 2017 was the SFR, or was that 2018?
It was 2016, actually. It was like shortly after Eason's run at AGDQ 2016.
No, the SFR.
Oh, SFRs. Oh, yeah, that's fairly recent.
Yeah, that's got to be like 18, I think.
Yeah.
Are you all ready to start with the run, by the way?
Yes. Just give me a countdown.
Sure thing. Anyone want to count it down?
Yeah, sure. 3, 2, 1, rolling in.
Smurf.
So,
All right,
first things first.
First things first, we kill off Donkey because he's slow and bad.
Always kill Donkey.
So you start with solo Donkey. He's slow. So you get your buddy Diddy, and then you play most of the game as Diddy. Rolling is fast. You want to roll as much as you can. And there's a very pivotal trick called an extendo, where you extend your roll. There was one there, kind of botched the setup a little bit.
Kind of botched it a little bit, but it's also like one of the harder extendos in the whole run, and it's in 1-1. So
nice.
Yeah, and there are
plenty
more.
Oh yes. Basically, like extended rolls are like, after you play the game for a while, they just become like part of your movement. Like they should come natural to you the more you play this game.
The short version is, when you roll through a guy, you get speed. If you're not holding Y when you roll through that guy, you don't get that speed until you repress Y. And by changing your timing up, you can make your roll go for longer and change the way that your trajectory through the air. And that's going to be key to a lot of the tricks in this game.
So this level was the first instance of taking a bonus in order to get further into the level, taking a bonus warp. There are 2 of them. Just because most bonuses put you out pretty close to where you go in, they're usually not faster, but there are 2 that actually save a pretty significant amount of time. There are also regular, like, developer-intended warps. Not so many of those, like, as there are in DKC 2 and 3, but we still make use of them to skip some pretty either long or annoying levels.
Yeah, none of them are in World 1, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, considering all of Worlds 1 and 2 have developer-intended warps in both of the next 2 games.
DKC 2 and 3, exactly.
So,
first water level in the game.
Yeah, first water level out of 4. You have your buddy on guard in every water level, but he's not always faster, actually. There's one level where he's just too far out of the way to actually save time, but he is significantly faster than the Kongs. The Kongs swim at the same speed, so this is the one place where it actually doesn't hurt to be Donkey. And your speed on animal buddies is dependent upon which Kong you are. So it actually doesn't matter whether you're Diddy or Donkey here, and it doesn't matter whether you're Diddy or Donkey on guard. Because like I said, the speed on animal buddies is dependent on the Kongs, and they're equal in water. So may or may not get a showing of Donkey on guard, which is always a good time.
I sure hope so.
Also, something worth pointing out is that I could have collected a DK barrel in the water level, but because having 2 Kongs while traveling on the overworld is slower, I want to delay collecting that barrel as much as possible. Here, I'll have to grab it intentionally.
Sometimes when you try to roll off this tree, the game eats your Y button and you fall, and it's really sad.
Another note about the overworld: every time he exits a level, you'll see the Kongs do a little fanfare on the level that he just beat. He's going to mash all 4 face buttons, A, B, X. Well, you can mash all 4 face buttons, A, B, X, and Y, the same ones that you use to enter the level, in order to cut that fanfare a little bit short. So similarly to when you enter them and leave them, you'll use all 4 face buttons. And you'll also hear us talk about that again later for another trick called Map Warp.
Yeah.
Boss fights in this game are pretty trivial. It's mostly just beat up the guy multiple times.
So get him as soon as he becomes vulnerable, basically.
Yeah,
pretty
so
much.
you jump on him. He does a bigger jump every time you jump on him, and then hit him as close as you can to the apex of his jump when he becomes vulnerable again. And that's World 1. This game's pretty fast. Another really satisfying extender right there. You can only actually hit that bird if you hit the extender right. So that's a good one. Fan favorite.
It's actually the extendo I recommend learning if you want to pick this game up, because you'll instantly know if you got it or not.
Oh yeah.
Pretty tricky to start out with, but like once you get the concept, it's so applicable like anywhere.
Well, here's the first intended warp in the game, by the way. So
the iconic minecart level we don't play.
Yeah,
thankfully, because this level is pretty hard.
The
And
one that
also
most
pretty
people
tough to
remember
optimize.
from their childhood being like really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So it's nice to skip it.
It's one of those levels that like makes the difficulty curve in this game actually all kinds of like all over the place, because this is much harder than everything else in World 2, except maybe like this level, Bouncy Bonanza.
Yeah, I'd say this is the first level where like platforming actually gets kind of hard. So there's some crawl spaces here. I'll go through how he's going fast there, but he did bee skip where you skip the bees. Imagine that. So when you roll into a crawl space, you can press the duck button and jump through it. You can't actually just like walk through it normally. Makes your Kong crouch. But by jumping through it, you can save your speed, and using those crawl space jumps, you can get past the bees and save cycles. And there's also another interesting thing notable later with crawl spaces where if you try to roll when you're inside of one, it zips you out to whichever end you're closer to. So another developer intended warp here, just go back out the entrance, and then it shoots you towards the end. You rock crocs in that level. This is the only level that they appear in, and they cannot hit you as long as you're rolling. So just kind of abuse that. First big trick here, the super jump. Watch Donkey go off the top of the screen. Very important. That means super jump is charged. When you get him back, as long as you're holding B, when you gain control of Donkey and bounce on an enemy, you will go up infinitely.
As long as you hold B, you can get as much height as you want.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is a developer-intended Donkey-only warp. So Donkey actually has some use, but it's very, very limited.
Yeah.
So this boss is one of the only sources of RNG in this entire game. Either he spawns high or he spawns low. You want him to spawn low, so he spawns high all the time.
Miscounted the hits. That's fine.
So he ended on a high spawn, so he loses like a Donkey unit there. Very small, but still annoying. What's more painful, though, is the fanfare that Diddy has after beating a boss is longer than the fanfare that Donkey has. And he needs to get Donkey back for another developer-intended Donkey-only warp here that's actually on a timer. It's the only one on a timer. He actually has to get here.
Yeah, you guys actually like saw like clear as day that I swapped to Donkey and then the warp barrel appeared seemingly out of nowhere.
Exactly.
And we got yet another developer-intended warp coming up in this stage.
This one's a bit tricky to get to.
You can just barely see the tire that you bounce off of at the top.
Yeah, it's pretty well hidden.
Yeah, it also depends on your TV too. Like if you've got an old tube, sometimes it gets cut off, so you don't even know it's up there.
Definitely.
All right, now here comes the first really big skip, like non-developer intended skip in this game.
So the super jump that we were talking about before that we used in 2.5, going to charge another one right here. Diddy goes up off the top of the screen. And then now we're going to combine that with another trick called a jump roll, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Sadly.
Sadly, a little bit late, so he just gets the regular super jump. And so since he was in a falling state, as he walked off that ledge, he can now clip through all these ropes, because the ropes actually extend infinitely upwards. If he wasn't walking off that ledge and didn't land on that Kremling as he did, the rope would catch him and bring him back down onto the screen, and he would have to go through this whole auto-scrolly rope level. So this, while it's not as fast as it could be, it's not optimal, it is much faster than playing the level out. So much so that if you mess up this trick, it's actually faster to go for it again than to just play the level out. Just die, get your Kongs back, start it over, because it saves so much time.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a Temple Tempest. This is one of the, in my opinion, one of the coolest levels in the first half of the game. We're going to do a lot of those extended rolls that I talked about earlier, and there's going to be one right here, actually, where we go under this gap and make it to the other side. If you just try to roll jump, you will die.
Another one right there, the Omega, and then the Fabi roll right here, practicing it earlier.
Whoa, like, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Whoa.
69 bananas, by the way. I don't understand why you didn't go for it, though. It was so free in practice. It saves
Yeah, I got it like 2 times in a row.
Another double extender right there, and then as long as you're rolling, the naughty wheels don't actually hurt you, so he uses the tire, rolls off the tire, and then straight through the naughty wheel.
Pretty interesting property of those millstones. It's a bit similar to the rock rocks that appeared in Stop and Go Station earlier, but yeah, we don't really know why they don't have a hitbox when you roll through them. We're just.
But wait a minute, Void. The next level's the other direction. Where are you going?
I'm going back to Waldo on Lumo. I'm gonna take an alternate entrance to that level.
Secret tag.
Yep.
So when you're on a corner of a map, of the map here, and you stop for a frame, and on that frame, the game thinks that you can push the B or A or X or Y button to enter a stage, but it doesn't know what stage to send you to. So that one corner just sends you to the end of Ogang.
There are 4 corners in World 1. They all send you to different places. 3 of them go to Ogang, and actually another one of them makes an appearance in another category. So again, you want to be on guard because on guard is fast. Don't bother getting DK because we'll waste frames having him on the overworld.
Yeah, an overall movement.
And then you get him for free when you come into the boss later. So movement on guard is kind of weird at first, just because his lunge is a set distance every time. He also can kind of get trigger happy if you get too close to certain enemies. He will just automatically lunge into them, sort of trying to protect you from them. The clams, same sort of idea. The clam you can clip through, just like the croctopus there, the octopus-looking thing. You can clip through them if you time your lunges correctly. So
yet another boss that we just hit as soon the closest frame to it becoming vulnerable.
This one gives you pretty good visual cue with the alternating colors.
Fun fact, if you pick up the left barrel, you lose 1 frame every time.
Shouts to Tampa.
Shoutouts to Tampa.
Recently, someone tried to say that that's just a myth and not true. I don't remember who. But yeah, so we use the right barrel when we can.
Yeah.
Alright, now the game starts. We got through these first 3 worlds, and they were, pretty good. Now the levels all get really, really difficult.
Yeah, difficulty curve ramps up a lot here. Nice Joe roll. That roll over that gap there is pretty tight.
And it saves a whole 6 frames.
6 whole, that's 2 whole donkey units.
Yeah. Oh, pretty interesting property right here. So if you're holding a barrel and you jump off those ledges, you get a lot of speed. They're called barrel boosts, and they work actually on all ledges, but only for 1 frame. You have to be on 1 frame or 1 pixel. I'm not quite sure. 1 pixel. Yeah, 1 pixel. You have to be on the very corner of the ledge, but because ice physics, we can actually do it on the whole slope.
Yeah,
the tab does them all over the place in 101.
Yeah, I've done a lot of them accidentally in 1.3, for example.
So unfortunately, this is the best level in the game, but we skipped most of it. unique color palette or unique like tile set and unique track to this level, but I'm gonna jump off the top of the screen and get in that warp right there.
Yeah, normally that warp is donkey only. You gotta swap to get access to it, but we just abuse those ropes to clip pretty much at the top of the level, and then afterwards I just roll into the barrel.
It's intended to be donkey only just because of its positioning. Diddy can't actually jump up to it, but donkey can. He just sort of like reaches his knuckles up there and barely touches it.
Has a larger hitbox. Whoop,
yeah.
Sucked into the hole right there.
That was that's a new one.
So if you're holding Y, you hold Y to go fast, but Y is also pick up barrel, and that doesn't always work out.
So
fortunately, that's like the shortest death you can take. So I'm not like that upset about it.
Snow levels are usually where the bitrate ends up like dying just because of the snow and all the changes and everything. But so here we are on Espresso. Espresso was very fast, and then similar to the barrel boost, you want to be running down slopes because you get a little bit of speed from that, and jumping up slopes because you lose speed there. Basically, you're just gonna come down as little as you can and then flap in the air to bridge the gaps. It's the same speed in the air as you are on the ground, so it's not really detrimental at all to be flying.
And now for the longest
level in the game. Croctopus Chase. So yeah, this is between 2 minutes and 20 seconds, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, depending on how you do your corners and how good you are at mashing. How well can they hear the music? 'Cause I mean, I don't have any on my side, so they'll probably get the audio cue, but we won't. So
I'll get it. But,
right. Well, yeah, of course, because you're playing.
I'm gonna ask a question in chat. Who has the cojones to put down a sub to Games Done Quick if I get piano-less at the end of this level? So there is a cue at the end of this level that pretty much tells you how well you've done this level, and it's kind of become part of the lore of the donkey community. And the idea is to not hear any of those pianos notes at the end.
It's really, really hard, by the way.
Yeah, just because of our limitations in mashing. And how hard it is to maintain speed around corners. If you do it quote unquote optimally, you don't hear that next set of piano notes. But there are some people out there who are so good at mashing and so good at corners that it's like not even close. But for the most part, you're going to see v0oid try to like go to the far side before he goes around the corner, try to get more momentum to keep around. And swimming speed is not capped as you go up, or I guess that's not really how to explain it, but when you press B to swim upwards, you get a speed boost and then it decays over time. So if you press B every 2 frames, I guess, because you need 1 frame on, 1 frame off, that'd be 30 presses per second, which is not really viable. How was your cue?
That was a lot of piano notes, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, I saw you bonk kind of a lot of walls. I didn't want to say anything, but
yeah. That's fine.
This is fine. So this
causes just a ton of lag, so we just play the level in the dark.
Yep, and so that was a crawl space zip right there. If you notice,
pretty short but intense level.
Yeah, it's a pretty good test of your movement, your overall movement and capabilities in this game. It's got most of the things that are important. There aren't any extendos, but
Now we're gonna go for another super jump roll.
7 frames.
7 whole frames. Can you believe it?
7 whole frames.
I literally can't.
All right, so set up with Diddy. Diddy went at the top of the screen.
Dang.
A little bit late. So he gets the super jump. Unfortunately, here it's not faster to just take the super jump over the whole stage. So that setup time is lost, and he just ends up playing it out with Diddy. But that's okay, because this stage is really, really cool. Lots of tie rolls, a couple extendos. kind of sad when the SJR killed this stage because there's actually a lot of really good tech in it. But of course, we want to go fast. So
Yeah.
tire rolls are pretty unintuitive at first, but they're pretty trivial. Nice back boost. Just land towards the right side of the tire and press Y to roll off of it, and then you can jump out of any roll. So we make a lot of use out of that, going under things. So Beaver 2, just like Beaver 1, except he jumps high an increasing amount of times, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can hide up in the corner there, as he did before. For whatever reason, there's collision up on the top of that pile, so you can use that to hit him on the first frame that he's vulnerable. What was that?
Is that on every boss arena or just this one?
It might be on all of them.
It might be on every boss, yeah, but we'll never know.
Yeah, I mean that's really the only that's useful. I guess you might be able to do it on Neki too. I don't know. So nice SJR here again.
Very nice.
One frame trick, and hits 4 idiots. So we talked about rolling speed earlier. When you roll, you go faster than you run. Then when you roll through enemies, you go even faster, up to hitting 4 enemies, which I believe increases your speed 25% per enemy. So he's going basically double roll speed right now. The difference between hitting more and more enemies is less significant as you get to the higher numbers, but you do want to hit 4 enemies if you can, and he did. So that is the fastest known way to complete that level.
I'm glad I hit that one because, well, for 2 reasons. The first one is, well, you guys now know what a super jump roll looks like. The second reason is I died a lot in that level section, so.
Yeah, that level is not trivial at all.
ODA is one of the hardest levels in the game.
Yeah.
By the way, he beat Trick Track Trek, which is about a 10-second level because of the warp.
Yep.
And what, like a
Now we're
5-minute
at-
auto scroller?
Yeah, it's like a 5-minute auto scroller without the warp, so it's a good thing that warp is there.
Yeah, and so this is the second and final bonus warp that we take. Skip a pretty good chunk of the level, but there's still a lot of good movement left to be had. Rolls and
Yeah, this level has a lot of tech to it.
It really does. It's not a good level to sleep on, honestly. Like it looks pretty simple when you just watch somebody do it, but there's a lot of stuff that you might not realize that's going on. When you kill enemies, you lose a frame, so leave that Neki alive. Face the other direction there to manipulate the spawning of that platform, and then skip a cycle. Easy level.
Now, the last water level in the game.
Again, featuring our good buddy, On Guard, the swordfish.
So the mincers in this level have really interesting hitboxes in that they don't really hit you if you're mid-lunge, and we're going to clip a few of them, hopefully.
Triple Minker.
And if you lose your fish in this level, it is honestly faster to die and play the level again.
Yeah, and there's actually a second fish just after, excuse me, just after halfway, but it takes a lot of time to get him.
Yeah.
So usually, unless you like get halfway and then die or something, it's faster not to. So we skipped Mincer there, nice clip, and then just go straight through the wall because borders are arbitrary.
Yeah.
End of this level looks kind of difficult to the casual player because there's a whole flood of bite size, the little piranhas there. But basically, just stick to the ceiling and don't worry about it.
Anyway, now we're going to plug
in. Did you spawn the mincer there? I think you just spawned the bottom one.
Oh, it happens sometimes, yeah. Probably
yeah.
like a sprite limitation.
So, run into the cart as Donkey and then take damage on the first bird, and the game thinks that you are still on land, so you can roll, and then anytime you can roll, you can jump out of it. So you can infinitely jump and roll, and you can use that to set up this jump roll right here. So this is what a jump roll looks like.
This is
One
your
frame trick.
Stay hydrated, by the way.
And then just coincidentally, your height at the jump roll goes through midway, so that's pretty useful. Unfortunate though, there are no other DK barrels in the whole level aside from the beginning, so if you take damage here, you're donezo.
Yeah. The mid-air state ends when you cross that first platform with the tire on it. So The theory is it's because there's a bonus barrel that shoots you down onto that tire from a certain point.
It's because you go back over land and the game realizes that you've gone over land.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which pretty much cancels the glitch.
Otherwise, you could roll through. You could roll forever as long as you don't cross that point, I believe.
Yeah, you can actually keep rolling and jumping up above the screen, and you can get high enough that you can just fly to the end of the level. But that takes a lot.
Yeah, that's
rolling and jumping off screen blindly, which is very difficult.
Anyway, hey, it's dark again.
Yeah. Oh, there's lights on. Oh, it's dark again. So this is the last level where the gimmick is that... No, I'm sorry, there's one more. Another level where the gimmick is that the lights are out, but only sometimes. So you can still use some visual cues like DK barrels and single bananas, because some things, for whatever reason, you can still see when the lights are out. Single bananas show up, but banana bunches don't, which I find very inconsistent and strange. But another really hard level. Definitely not one to sleep on.
Yeah.
Very impressive to watch at a high level.
It's one of my favorite levels to do fast.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It's now Boss Dumb Drum, the dumb boss that actually murders himself. So he just drops these guys at you in pairs, you dispatch them, and he smacks himself on the ground. And enough that he blows up.
This is one of the few times in the entire speedrun where we will play as Donkey on purpose.
You actually use Donkey at the end just to dispatch some enemies more quickly, just because Donkey's bigger and heavier and whatnot, so he can jump on the clumps, whereas Diddy cannot. Diddy has to roll through them. And then also these armies here, if the armies are rolling, Donkey can just jump on them and dispatch them. Meanwhile, Diddy has to bounce on them first.
Yeah, he has to cancel the rolling animation.
Yeah.
Also, Donkey's fanfare is just slightly shorter, which we mentioned earlier.
I was looking at the restream.
All right, boys. Anybody who has ran this game knows what time it is right now.
Void Prey.
It is time if you can save the run.
So you guys saw the jump roll that I got in Minecraft Madness in World 5. There are 2 instances of a jump roll that you can hit in this level. The first one saves 55 seconds. The second one saves 43. And yeah, other than that, it's a pretty slow and boring auto-scroller.
It's worth noting you can get this first one, get the frame perfect part, and then die.
Yeah. Really don't want to do that.
There's really 3 parts to Kremtut that make it really hard.
Nice.
Go rolling out.
Neat. So Kremtut, first really hard part is the frame perfect trick. Second really hard part is you have to wiggle in between the catwalk that the Krem was on and then the platform in order for it to go away so you don't land back on it. And then you have to dodge a couple bees later. So it's a really hard trick and saves a lot of time. This one, though, you just kind of go. Once you hit the trick, you do have to wiggle back and forth for a little while because you do drop subpixels as the whole time that you're in the jump roll state. So you need to drop just enough to make it under those bees there. Do really good visual cue to wait for that naughty to walk off the edge. That's pretty much exactly the right amount of time.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, time for our good buddy Ramby the Rhinoceros in this level.
Heck Ramby if you got him.
Heck Ramby, by the way.
Heck Ramby. So in this game in particular, he controls very badly.
Yeah. I guess they really wanted to make him feel, I guess, like heavy and powerful. So, like, he controls a bit sluggish.
They implemented a, natural lag. So, every time you do something, the game waits, and then it does that action. Just to make him feel, more heavy and funky. Because, he is a rhinoceros. He's not exactly agile.
Yeah.
But then we give him the Yoshi treatment because he helps us cross the gap, and we're thankful for his sacrifice.
Yeah, another pretty tough level that you shouldn't sleep on. Part of it is because controlling Ramby is so difficult.
Right.
Now here's one of the more complicated tricks in the run. So we're taking damage on purpose there. And we got the super jump state. We super jump here. We hit this rope, and then we kind of float down. And that gives us this weird glitchy rolling state. And then let's just do this.
Yeah, so basically what this does, this is called a SFR, by the way, called Super Free Roll. It's a play on word of the super jump roll because you remove this jump roll portion of the trick entirely. So all you have to do, like Basement said, you have to set up a super jump, grab a rope, and when you dismount a rope from the bottom, you keep your super jump state. So all you have to do afterwards is roll off a ledge, and you will have the rolling animation that you so desire. And then afterwards, you can roll through enemies to gain speed afterwards.
You didn't get the DK barrel, Void. You can't do loopy SJR.
Hey man, loopy SJR is too difficult for me.
Another obviously really difficult frame perfect trick, but it's off a tire, so maybe it's a few more frames depending on your setup.
Yeah, maybe it's not as difficult as I make it sound, but
it only saves like 2.5. So in a run like this, it's really not worth it.
I've actually like never practiced it or like learned it, so
probably in your best interest. Similarly though, in Misty Mind's level, he just did the super free roll, and there's also a super jump roll there. If you hit 3 enemies with the super jump roll, it actually saves a second over doing the super free roll. But of course, it's a frame perfect trick, so just the consistency of the super free roll, it's not even a question in a run like this in all stages.
Especially since it's at the end of the run, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. If it was earlier on, maybe you'd think about it, but a second is pretty minimal for the cost.
That's 3 whole donkey units, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, this level is really, really hard, by the way.
Yeah, pretty unanimously decided the hardest level in the game, and of course, with a frame perfect trick.
Yeah, you have a frame perfect trick this one saves about 9 seconds, but what it saves you is a lot of sweating because the second half of this level is arguably the hardest portion in the entire game.
Yeah, and that 9 seconds has like a very, very big asterisk next to it because there are a lot of different strats.
There are a lot of different strats. They all save varying amounts of times. They are all varying levels of difficulty. And yeah.
Now we're on to the last 2 bosses in the game.
So similar to Neki 1, Neki 2 just shoots an increasing number of nuts at you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you just jump on him as soon as you can. And are we gonna see the donkey route?
Oh yes.
All right.
Donkey route is fast.
Right. So dispatch Diddy, and what's interesting about losing Kongs in boss fights is you don't get freeze frames. Nice slap slide. So we have Donkey only here. Donkey has a faster fanfare than Diddy, as we've said, and you only have 1 Kong in the overworld, so you save 10 frames there. And then I don't really know why. Nobody really knows why. It just feels like hits with Donkey on K. Rool are like easier to time. Like it's easier to get really, really close.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
glad you're pointing this out because like I've always found jumping on K. Rool easier with Donkey. I don't know if it's like the way his hitbox collides with K. Rolls, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is exactly. We can't quantify it, but it's just easier to fight K. Rool with Donkey. Unfortunately, miss out on a little bit of swag going in between the cannonballs with Diddy. His hitbox is actually small enough you can stand in between them as they fall down, but instead you can do some slap slides here, which is normally a frame perfect trick, but if you're like landing from a jump, it becomes 2 frames. So normally if you hold down and you press Y, Donkey will slap the ground, and if you hold down Y and a direction, he'll do a slap as he moves across the ground. Not any faster, it's just run speed, it's not even roll speed, but it's still cool.
Yeah, it looks cool, so you just go for it.
Yeah, exactly. And so like the supreme swag here is to slap slide under the cannonballs, because if you don't get the slap slide that you're going for, you usually end up getting hit.
Yeah.
And just like that, K. Rool's down. There couldn't possibly be any more to the run. You know, it looks like we got the credits here. The coding was by Claptrap. And,
pristine credits.
Wow, everything starts with K. That's very interesting. I wonder why.
It is very interesting, yeah.
Huh. The end? Question mark?
Yeah. Oh no, he's still alive!
Oh man.
Oh no!
Who could have prepared for this eventuality?
Now he's jumping. Him jump.
Him jump.
Anyway, 3 more hits. 2 more hits now.
Yeah, so similar to the first two phases, you just hit him 3 times, and this one's probably one of the easier phases just because his jumps are scripted. They're always the same distance, always the same length.
Get ready on time, by the way.
Time is when the banana touches the ground. Yeah. Yo, nice run.
Nice run.
Nice run, GG. 32-54.
That's pretty good.
Damn.
Casual 32.
Casual 32. Well, I did hit every jump roll starting from wall 5. Like from wall 5 onwards. So that
so what you just missed RBR and Frenzy?
And Frenzy, yeah. With a very small death in Ice Age.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about Ice Age. Yeah, because it was like right there in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright. Well,
that was DKC 1. If you guys,
what a run! Can you believe it?
If you guys liked this game, if you guys liked the run, if you guys liked our commentary, please pop the follow button.
Slam that bell.
Join the Discord. We like to have fun, learn the game, and keep rolling deep. And
click
also
the monkey.
keep enjoying the
click
marathon.
the database.
Oh yeah.
Post frogs.
Thank you to all of you so much for the commentary and the run. It was incredible. And thank you to everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And thank you to everyone for hanging out and watching. We're not quite done with DK yet. Next up is Donkey Kong Country 2. We have to change streamers though real quick, so the stream will go down for a second. Don't go away, don't freak out. I know you all will anyway, it's Twitch chat, but don't. We'll be right back.
Panic basket.
Rolling out.